All right, so hello and welcome. This is Dustin Guinee of Open Minds, Open Hearts, and you have come to session 7, Fostering Focus Through Mindful Awareness. Today we're going to talk about cultivating concentration through meditation practice. And no, it's not going to be a bunch of brain busters and focusing until we can't think anymore. We're actually going to try to not think our way through this, but rather find a stillness and peace to then foster focus. So it should be pretty exciting. I got a lot in store for you guys. But first, if you missed session 6, reframing every moment with gratitude, check it out. It is up on YouTube. There were some great moments there about seeing our lives as a cup half full rather than half empty, and how we can practice gratitude in every moment, both positive or negative, finding gratitude for everything in our lives. So check that out on the Open Minds, Open Hearts YouTube channel. As always, these are free sessions. But if you would like to leave a donation, you can do so through Venmo or PayPal, either by getting on my email list or the description of my YouTube videos have information on that. If you'd like to get on the email list, Dustin at openmindsopenhearts.org is how you can contact me. So friends, family that may be interested in joining these sessions, definitely let them know. I'd love to have them included. And as we continue to build this community of conscious meditation practitioners, both beginning, intermediate, advanced, we're all in this together. So any friends you know that are seeking some of these benefits, please send them my way. So with that, I wanted to share a brief presentation with you around some of these themes. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going. Great. So today we will be talking about fostering focus through mindful awareness. This is particularly relevant for me because I have a 4-year-old who just started remote learning a few weeks ago. And as you can imagine, getting a 4-year-old to sit in front of an iPad for many hours is extremely difficult. And you really see how hard it is to harness focus. For myself, I have been working from home, often watching kids at the same time. And I too have been struggling finding focus throughout my day. So this is particularly pertinent to me. I think we can all relate to struggling with the monkey mind, as it's called, kind of that incessant chatter, the to-do lists. And it's no wonder, right? Like we're constantly bombarded with notifications and emails and texts and alerts. And there's so many things pulling at our attention. And not all these things are equal in value, and not all of these things really even deserve our attention, right? So becoming very mindful of where we're placing our attention and placing our focus is of more and more importance in today's society, right? And so when I think of this idea of focus, this is going beyond in the West, what we would think of as getting, a better SAT score or improving productivity at work. While all those things can be a byproduct of this practice, this is really going deeper and not just connecting our mind, but also connecting our body and our hearts to this space of awareness. And I first came to know this, not through meditation, but actually through running. Many years ago, I started to get into running and running long distances. And in that, I found what runners call the runner's high, or getting in the zone. Many athletes talk about this getting into the zone. right? And it's this incredible state in which your body, your mind, your heart, they're all in unison doing this one activity, right? And there's such a joy and pleasure in moving through space in this way. The body is in motion, the mind is at peace, the heart is content, just being fully present in the moment. And that's really what we're talking about here when we talk about focus and awareness, right? In the Buddhist scriptures, they call this samadhi. And samadhi is essentially, it's often translated as concentration, but it's much more than concentration. Samadhi is really a stillness of the mind, a oneness of the mind. And it's a oneness that occurs between mind, body, and heart. So I like to think of the image of a flat mountain lake, right? This pristine surface like a mirror, reflecting the heavens up above. And so to our minds can also become this lake, this still lake reflecting the deeper spiritual truths that are all around us. So this is the type of fostering of focus that I'm talking about. This is the cultivating of concentration that we'll embark on today. And I think after you taste the rich nectar of being one with presence, you're never going to want to go back, because you'll realize in the here and the now is really the most important moment, because it is the only moment that we really have. So with that, let's talk about some more moments coming up. So open intention, we're going to set our intention. We're going to read some inspired writings. We're going to talk a little bit about samadhi and mindfulness and the science around focus. We're also going to talk, or I'm going to guide you through a meditation on fostering focus through breathing. And then we'll have some communication with our community at the end. So let's go ahead and set an intention for today's session and beyond. So some intentions may be, my intention is to foster more focus in my life. My intention is to be fully present in each moment, keeping my body, head, and heart connected. My intention is to stay focused on what really matters and avoid distractions. So go ahead and take a few moments to reflect on what your intention is for today's session, for later today and tomorrow, how you intend to foster focus, to bring more awareness and presence in your life. And an intention has probably surfaced. Usually the first idea is the most powerful. So let's trust in that. Okay, so Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Buddhist scholar, one of the most well-known scholars of the 20th and 21st century, he says, meditation is not passive sitting in silence. It is sitting in awareness, free from distraction, in realizing the clear understanding that arises from concentration. And I really love this because often we think of meditation as being this very passive thing, right? That, we got to turn off all thoughts and just kind of sit in silence and then that's it. But really what he's saying here is that awareness is not passive. Awareness is active. Awareness is free from distractions. It's a feeling of clarity. And there's also a concentration of awareness, right? And we start to deepen this the more that we do this practice, right? But like I said, it's not necessarily concentration like, oh, I'm going to increase productivity at work. It's really kind of bringing more mindfulness to every aspect of our lives, bringing more presence to every aspect of our lives, right? Okay, so I mentioned samadhi, which is a particular kind of concentration. And Rajneesh, he says, in samadhi, in the highest form of meditation, the mind stops functioning, but you are conscious. One is fully alert, luminous. One is there witnessing, watching, but there is no cloud of thought. The sky is utterly empty. As far as you can see, you cannot see any content. And I do love kind of the mystical poetry of this, this idea that our mind is kind of this open sky, and these clouds are thoughts, and really we're kind of, he says the mind stops functioning, but really it's, we know the mind is still operating the body and on a subconscious level, but this kind of conscious thought takes a back seat, and these clouds of thought kind of start to dissipate, and we just find this very still, very quiet peace, this equanimity. And this is what I think Rajneesh is talking about in reaching this station of samadhi. And of course, finally, the Buddha says, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. What we think, we become. So simple and so profound. What we think, we become. And this is so true, right? And I'm sure you've probably seen this in your own lives, right? Like when we're really focused on fear and anxiety and lack, well, guess what? The universe starts to give us more of that, right? Because that's the energy that we're putting out, right? That's the way our thinking pattern is working. That's the way our actions are working, and the universe is responding to that type of energy, right? However, when we reframe it, even if we're going through difficult times, but we reframe it as, oh, I'm so grateful for this, and I'm feeling at peace because of this. I'm doing my meditation practice. I'm eating well. I'm connecting with loved ones. Then we start to just foster more of those moments and more of those people and experiences in our lives. So we think what we think, we become. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about samadhi, since I've mentioned it a few times. So it is the 8th step in the Eightfold Path. Eightfold Path in Buddhism is one of the primary teachings or dharmas. In samadhi, it means to collect or bring together. It's often translated as concentration, but it can also mean the unification of the mind. So it's much deeper than what we would classify in the West as concentration. Samadhi is liberation from thought to a state of stillness and awareness. And it seems really abstract when you haven't experienced it, especially when, you're first starting out with meditation and your mind just doesn't want to turn off, and it's going through its to-do list, and, oh, I got to do this. I got to make this for dinner. Oh, I forgot to email that person, right? Like we get really caught up in that monkey mind. But as we keep sitting and as we keep practicing this, as we keep honing in on that strength and stillness, we begin to become more fully present and more alert, more mindful of the here and now, right? And that's ultimately what samadhi is it's bringing an awareness to the present moment. We're not dwelling in the past. We're not projecting into the future. We're here. We're engaged in this moment right now. This moment is the most important thing in our lives right now. That is what samadhi is. So we also cultivate this through this sense of deep equanimity and peace, right? This is an emotional state. It's connecting heart, mind, and body. We're harnessing this feeling of oneness. And in that process, our ego dissolves, right? And our ego is kind of that incessant, I can say this word, insistent self, right? The ego is the insistent self. It's that nagging voice in our head saying, oh, you need to do this for yourself. Greed, doubt, worry, fear, all of those negative emotions, that's our ego. And so when we begin to do this practice, we begin to see that that voice, well, sometimes it has valid points, is often misleading us. It's not keeping us on the path. So through this practice of samadhi, we begin to come back to the path, cultivate this inner peace, cultivate this oneness of mind, and truly it becomes transformational. So I've shared some mystical sources. How about a little Western science for anyone that's still in doubt? Because it's all two sides of the same coin. So concentration versus emotion in the brain. And I shared some of these, I think in session 2, going way back. But I wanted to share again because I think they're so important. So we think about the prefrontal cortex, right? That's the executive, logical, reasoning, focus, and attention part of the brain, right? And at the front, all executive functions. And then we have the limbic system, which is kind of in the middle of the brain, connected to the nervous system. And that's our emotions and our aggression and motivation and instinct, right? Our fight or flight part of the brain. And so both of these parts of the brain are importantly, very important in functioning the body, the brain. But if we think about these parts of the brain, right, using this metaphor of the elephant for our fight or flight part of the brain, and the elephant rider is kind of the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of the brain. And we think about, as the elephant rider, we're never going to fully control the elephant, right? The elephant is a sentient being that is ultimately going to do what it wants to do. But through practice, through direction, the elephant rider can direct that energy, right? So we still may experience fear, doubt, worry. We still may experience the limbic brain turning on, right? Stress, cortisol hormones released. That may still happen. But the practice of becoming conscious of this elephant rider is that we can then take a step back and say, okay, I can see I'm getting very frustrated. I'm getting full of fear. I'm getting full of anger. Okay, let me take a step back. Let me reassess this. Let me reevaluate. Let me take some deep breaths, right? So that's the elephant rider kind of directing that emotional energy, right? And, science is actually mapping this back to the brain. Increased gray matter in auditory and sensory cortexes. So the mind quiets and the senses enhance, right? So you're seeing, you're hearing, all enhancing. You sense a touch. Increased gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. So actually, neurons that fire together wire together, right? So we're increasing that gray matter in the reasoning, memory, and focus parts of the brain. And in this study from Sarah Lazar from Harvard, they actually found that the 50-year-old meditators had the same amount of gray matter as 25-year-old meditators. So it also helps with our longevity of our brain. And finally, decreased amygdala or limbic system, the fight or flight part of the brain. So and actually that fear center starts to decrease, right? So, and that was with participants that did 8 weeks of meditation. So just in 8 weeks, participants begin to see these results. So it's incredibly powerful. So before we begin our meditation, a few final thoughts about fostering focus, a few more practical steps that we can take. So before meditation, right, be mindful of your health and well-being. So eating right, sleeping right, exercising. You know, our doctors tell us these things all the time, but are we actually doing them? You know, are we eating right? Are we eating mostly plants and whole foods? Are we minimizing junk food, minimizing animal protein, minimizing alcohol and caffeine, right? Drinking plenty of water. Are we sleeping right? Are we getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep? You know, some can do a little bit less and some need a little bit more, but we all know the value of a good night's rest and how important it is for our focus the next day. And exercise, are we getting our heart rate up at least 3 times a week, you know, if not every day? Are we breaking a sweat? Are we stretching, moving our body, doing yoga? You know, all of these things contribute to a healthier body, a healthier mind, and greater focus. When we think about meditation, we want to create a quiet, peaceful space, right? So we want to designate a particular spot in our house if we haven't done so already. Playing relaxing music can often help get us into that mood for meditation. And also the timing, meditating in the morning, I think, at least for myself, I've found that it has been the best time to meditate because it's right in the beginning of the day. I haven't eaten any food. Even before I drink coffee or check emails or any of that, start with meditation, clearing the mind, preparing the mind for focusing on what's important for the rest of my day. And I think developing that morning meditation practice can work wonders for your concentration. During meditation, getting comfortable. So, you know, don't think that you have to sit in lotus pose or sit on the ground. You can sit in a chair. If you need to move or stretch or readjust, you should do that. You know, none of us are trying to be Zen monks meditating for 3 weeks in a row and not moving, right? It's okay. You know, we're gonna shoot for 10 or 20 minutes of meditation, and if we need to stretch and readjust, we can, because ultimately we're just trying to maintain that level of peace. And through the breath is also how we maintain that, right? Always coming back to the breath as our anchor and focal point. We could also focus on an object. It could be a physical object in front of you, like a candle. It could be an object in your mind, like a ball of light is a common one. But that can also help you focus and concentrate your mind through meditation. And finally, settling sounds or mantras. We talked about settling sounds a few episodes back, like Om, for example, can be a great way of quieting the mind. And then finally, after meditation, as we continue to foster focus, so seeing the end in the beginning, right? So now we're moving from being present in the moment to thinking about the end, right? We're projecting or putting plans for the end goal that we want to achieve, right? But we're also not resisting where we are in the current moment, right? And I think that's the big difference here is we can see the end in the beginning, but we're not uncomfortable in feeling uneasy being in the present moment. We understand that we have to take baby steps to achieve this goal. And so we just embrace that process and bring our full presence to it. Also, practicing non-judgment, we often lack focus and concentration because we're judging the situation that we're in, right? Like I know when I'm at work and I'm doing a project that, you know, could very well be boring, like data entry and a spreadsheet with many, many numbers for many, many hours. It can be a bit repetitive and daunting, right? But can you reframe that? Can you turn it into a game? Can you play some music in the background and just kind of go with the flow of whatever repetitious task you're involved with, you know, not judge it. And that leads us to harnessing the power of emotion too, right? Like, especially a stressful situation. Can you flip that around and have that stress fuel your focus, right? Like if you have a deadline at work, rather than getting so worried about the deadline, can you turn that into motivation to be that much more focused in what you have to do, right? And on the same side, joy and bliss. You know, think about a child when they're playing with bubbles or a toy, right? They're so enraptured in the moment. They're just in their bliss. They're in their joy. You know, our dog playing fetch with a stick, right? These beings are just, they're so full of presence and totally focused on what they're doing. And I think we could all come back to that child mind or beginner's mind to capture that. Finally, make space and remember to breathe, right? If you're in a stressful situation, before you have an outburst, take some deep breaths. If you have an outburst, catch yourself and then start taking some deep breaths, right? We can always come back to the breath. We can always take a break, take a walk. We can reflect, de-stress, and then come back with a level head on moving forward. So I hope that was helpful. Hope you guys got a few pointers there. I'm going to go ahead and get our guided meditation going here. I'm going to cue up a little music. So go ahead and get a comfortable seat. Nice and relaxed, like we talked about. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. So go ahead and prepare for some meditation. And let's begin. So today we will be fostering focus and cultivating concentration through mindful awareness or samadhi. The object of our focus today will be our breath. Our breath is truly the life force that connects us to life itself. And so we will use that as our focal point today. So if your mind gets distracted, you know, thinking about your thoughts like clouds in the sky, you just let them pass by rather than dwelling on them. And just focusing to the open sky of your mind and reconnect with the breath. Let's go ahead and get started with 3 deep breaths. Deep breath in through the nose, filling up the belly and diaphragm, and release. Releasing through the mouth, feeling the belly decompressing, letting the air out. Deep breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, and release. letting the air slowly come out. And one more time, deep breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, and release. And I'd like you to just take a few moments to be with the natural rhythm of your breath. Be with the inhale, the feeling of air flowing through your nostrils, the feeling of your belly or your diaphragm rising as it takes in air. You can even put a hand or two hands on your belly as you do so. And the feeling of your exhale, the quality of the breath as it rolls past your mouth, over your lips. Really tuning in to the natural rhythm of your breath. Like the waves of an ocean, going in and going out. As we tune into our breath, we tune in to the present moment. We tune in to how we're feeling right here and right now. Grateful that we can take these breaths of life-giving oxygen. I'm grateful that we've made this time for ourselves to find stillness and peace. Just simply sitting with our breath, acknowledging our breath, honoring our breath, being here right now. And as we continue bringing awareness to our breath, I'd like us to try a box breathing technique in which we will count off the inhale, the holding of the breath, and the exhale of the breath. And this helps us further bring mindful awareness to the breath. So this first one, we're going to do a 4-second inhale, a 4-second hold, a 4-second exhale, and then another 4-second hold before taking our next breath. And we're going to go ahead and do this 3 times. And if you get lost at any moment, it's okay. You can always pick up on the next round. So let's go ahead and deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, breath in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Last time in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, and breath in. So I know that's a different way of breathing, but it really does allow us to focus in a little bit more on each part of the breath. I particularly enjoy the hold of the breath and kind of that feeling of holding that oxygen inside. So we're going to extend this exercise a little further. And this time we're going to try a 4-second inhale, a 7-second hold, and a 9-second release. And after we release, we're going to go right back in to taking another inhale. And we're going to do this 3 times. Okay, let's give it a try. So deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Deep breath in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And back to your regular breathing. So I hope that exercise helped you really tune into your breath. Counting the breath and doing these types of holds it can really help quiet the mind of all the incessant thoughts. And it's really just a great way to finding more peace and equanimity in our practice. And I'd like to shift our focus a little bit. And I'd like to share with you a poem that I've written called Mountain Lake Mind. And I've been inspired by the practice of samadhi in focusing the mind. And I'd like to share these words with you today. I am a still mountain lake, high above the trees. Glass surface, not awake, far from storming seas. Secluded in my summit, reflecting all reality. Yet as river waters plummet, in the rapids I cannot see. I am mountain lake mind, while the forest burns around me. Peace the flames would find, if they could stop and just be. Mindlessly consuming every object in its path, winds of desire moving in the fire's blind wrath. In the streets, in the city, racing around on the grind, in the decay and gritty, I am mountain lake mind. Distracted generation, monkey in our minds. Connected concentration, peace in presence you shall find. Surface mind is still, reflecting wisdom up above. Being is my will. I am unconditional love. Awakened, focused, aware, walking the noble path free. The 8th step taken with care. Mindful through samadhi. a clear view up in the heights, free from space and time, reflecting sun and moonlights. I am mountain, lake, mind. So as we reflect on our practice, perhaps your stillness is found in a mountain lake. Perhaps your stillness is found in a quiet place in your home. Wherever you find your place of peace and stillness, I'd like you to envision that place in your mind right now. It could be right where you are. It could be a far off location, a forest, on the water. Wherever you find true peace and happiness. And as you bring that image to your mind, I'd like you to bring your awareness to this present moment and know that the feeling of peace you feel right now is available to you in every moment through the connection of your breath. By connecting with the breath, we can reconnect with the mountain lake, with the quiet forest, or the peaceful room. We can reconnect with the sanctuary of silence and strength within our minds, our bodies, and our hearts. This place is available to you at all times, in all conditions, because this is the timeless awareness, not bound by space and time. This is the place of liberation. Namaste.